we brought the 2008 national champions, Dayvon Love and Deven Cooper.
And the topic for today is whether or not integration was good for African Americans in this country. So he's going to be arguing for that resolution, and I'm actually going to be arguing against Deven in this debate. So he's going to give an introduction, and then I'm going to speak.
Okay, so I'll just start. Good morning, everybody. So Plessy versus Ferguson, if everybody has heard about that case, is the case that implemented separate but equal. It is one of the massive, most social experiments that happened in the United States. The Supreme Court, now that has become more conservative, has been adopting more of that separate but equal doctrine. Recently, there's been a case, Meredith versus Jefferson County, which is about desegregation. They rolled back that case and said that we shouldn't recognize race as well as different social categories as a way to evaluate schools. So what that does is makes it so that our schools become more segregated than they are right now. We've not really seen a model of integration that has been successful because it's been always mitigated by exclusion, psychic trauma of black children and other people of color. But if we are fully committed to integration, then that would be more progressive, that allow people from every cultural group to express themselves. When we look at conditions of segregated schools of color, especially the one that I went to, which is Lake Clifton in Baltimore City, the schools are not inferior because they're mostly black, but they're inferior because they're 16 times as likely to be in schools that are concentrated in poverty, according to Gary Orfield, the co-director of Civil Rights Projects at UCLA. The schools have been enormous social economic crises that have problems in every classroom and incredibly challenging to teachers. Black teachers that start teaching in those classrooms leave the profession twice as far as likely as those to start teaching in less isolated and less impoverished schools. This is just an overwhelming task. If we are willing to engage and embrace a society that's becoming more diverse, we must be able to prepare our students to interact and to culturally to build cultural sensitivities to other groups. If our schools are not a locus where we can integrate people with diverse settings and have integration thrive, then we've been unable to prepare our students for a culturally diverse society.
So you talked about some of the reasons why it is that black people are often excluded from these institutions that say they want to be integrated. Why is it that if you said there's been no successful model for integration, why should we keep pursuing this social goal?
Because the outcomes, I think, are much better than what we have in the status quo right now. I mean, given that, we both went to schools that were predominantly just black schools, we never really had interaction with people that are Asian or Latino descent. We don't actually have a good way of interacting with them because they're oftentimes we have cultural insensitivities that allow us to act in ways that are exclusionary towards them.
Is it important for black people and people of any ethnicity or race to be able to control the cultural production of their institutions?
Definitely, but I don't also think that those schools should be predominantly of those particular races in order for that to happen. There's other social ways that we can do that through groups like debate as well as, after-school programs.
The topic for today's debate will be resolved that teachers should not take away cell phones.
Well, I'm going to open this argument by saying most cell phones cause problems, and that's the truth. It's like in class, you're not supposed to have a cell phone there. You could be sitting up here texting answers during the test. Sometimes cell phones really do cause problems because if a student so-called steals your cell phone and you had it in class with you, then the teacher is not responsible for it. More of like, you're responsible, you shouldn't have had it there because it's not, well, cell phones are not allowed in school. That's rules. It's actually in Ohio Student Code of Conduct. If teachers take it, then it's basically theirs until June 15th. And since they took it, you wouldn't really get it back unless they wanted to give it back. It's like teachers could actually take it without giving it back. Most of the teachers here would not take your phone without giving it back. They'll give it back to you end of the day, end of a week, but no. Most of these teachers here won't.
Okay, so I think teachers shouldn't take cell phones because as dangerous the world is now, okay? So if a teacher take your cell phone, have to keep it to June 15th. But if you leave the school and it's a shooting or something, you have to call your mother or something. You won't have your cell phone with you and it won't be available. And also, as many kids that go ballistic and bring guns to school. And how are you going to be able to reach your parents? You won't be able. You don't have time to run to the office and use the office phone. Say, "Mom, somebody's shooting the school up." That's why you should always have your cell phone. And also, many camera phones are a good resource to helping the police out. Also, for the person shooting, you could easily film it or take a picture. So that's why I think cell phones shouldn't be taken, because it helps our safety and others.